first heard about the bear on the Old Man and the Three podcast with JJ Redick. They were talking about their picks, and Tommy mentioned the bear on Hulu, and it was about. He said he prefaced it by saying it was a show about a cook who worked in the Napa Valley. He doesn't say which restaurant. Obviously, they're talking about French Laundry, but they don't mention it. He's working at this kitchen in the Napa Valley, and then goes home to Chicago to run the family business, and he just left it as that. And I thought, damn, that sounds pretty good. So I decided to watch it, and I watched it from beginning to the end. I didn't binge it in one night, but I watched it one episode a night, and I was floored. It was the best show I'd seen in a really long time. Definitely the best show of the year, I think. I don't watch a lot of TV shows, but it was really friggin' good. Some backstory: I used to work on a food truck, like way back in the day. I also worked in a few kitchens. I always say that if I won the lottery, or if I came upon a bunch of money, my dream job would just be to open up a restaurant, serve some fancy craft beers with it, and just do that for fun. Just because I love cooking, I love making food, I love serving it to people and getting their reaction. I like to have people enjoy themselves in that type of environment. So that's what I would do if I were retired, or I came up across a bunch of money. That's what I would do with my time. So I started watching this show, and I saw another tweet come by where David Chang from like Momofuku Major Domo, he talked about the first episode he watched the first episode of The Bear and gave his thoughts about it. And he loved it. He thought it did a really good job of depicting how a kitchen runs, what it's like to work in a kitchen.
I would say that from what I watched, I only watched the first episode once. My initial reaction was, this is the most accurate depiction of working in a restaurant.
Period.
Not working, but what it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
The feeling that you get when it gets really busy in a kitchen, and how that all feels, and how time like slows down. Your perception of time gets warped when it gets like super busy.
The one thing that, like, to me, the one thing I will just focus on is I've never seen any TV show or movie capture the perception of time as well as The Bear's first episode.
Mm-hmm.
Have I opened a restaurant that serves Italian beef? I didn't even know what Italian beef was until 36 months ago. So no, the answer is no. I have no idea.
Right.
I've been to Chicago, but I don't know what it's like to work there. I don't know anything about it. But it was emotional for me to watch because I immediately got drawn into the main protagonist, Carmi, the chef, is what he was feeling. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it probably wasn't even discussed. And I think he would just look at the clock in the kitchen. I think there's only probably 4 shots of it, but it was enough for me. And the acting was good enough to be like, I know what's happening. I know exactly what it is. And I'm getting shortness of breath just thinking about it.
I can totally agree with everything that he says about the first episode, and the show in general. It just does a really good job of showing what it's like to work in a kitchen. And I know with this whole Food Network for the past like however many years, it's been commercialized. It's been I don't know, like, yeah, commercialized. There's these shows about working in the kitchen. There's these competition shows about cooking and working in the kitchen, and like, oh, this is what it's like. But unless you really work in a kitchen, you really don't have an idea of what it's like. And that's why I really appreciate that show, just because it's crazy. I saw, I'll put a link to this other tweet, all the tweets that I referenced. Somebody mentioned that, is it just me, or does watching The Bear make me want to go back and work on a cooking line? And I was like, why does that resonate with me so much? It, working at a kitchen, it's not glamorous unless you're like, you become really famous and open up your own restaurants. But it's hard work. It's stressful. You don't get paid a lot. I did it as a side gig, on top of, my day job. And, who wants to do that at the end of a long day, to work inside of a busy kitchen and get yelled at and sweat? And it's super stressful. But, looking back, like, I'm kind of like a masochist. Like I like that in a weird way. It just being put in that type of pressure and having to make a dish or put something together really fast under pressure, and then at the end of the night kind of look back and, like, with the rest of the people in the kitchen, like, yeah, we had a good night, or we got really busy, but we pushed through it. Like, that whole camaraderie with a kitchen staff is pretty fun, and I it's weird, but I kind of miss it. um I don't know. I remember, I watched that show and I saw a lot of people talk about it, and I thought that, I really wanted to talk about, like, my experience, what I thought about the show, and just, it's just a really good show. I'm not going to spoil it. The last episode, like, my jaw just dropped just because the way that it ended. I know some people said it was like, oh, it seemed pretty obvious the ending was going to be that way, but I wish I could go back in time, rewatch the final episode, and just feel that feeling of when I saw everything. Oh, it's such a good show. The music's good. The song that they picked for the last scene in the last episode is absolutely perfect. I love that show so much. I'm rewatching it again just to see if I can get those feelings again. But yeah, if you have the chance to watch The Bear on Hulu, um, I'll leave a link to everything that I talked about. Clips from the episode with David Chang, the tweets that I referenced, just because it's such a good show. Links to my newsletter, my Twitter, the website, all that's going to be down in the description. So check it out. See you guys.